Hey, this is Steve, Nashville, Tennessee, and you're listening to Count It Off.
All right, thank you, Steve, and welcome to Count It Off, your fresh new window into the world of music. And I'm your host, Jeff Dayton. And man, have we got a great guest today. I'm talking about none other than Dr. Fink from the Purple Rain era, the Prince and the Revolution era. Longtime friend, and he's got great music. Yes, indeed. And we're going to interview him now and get to it. And so all I want you guys to know is that Marsha's going to kick off the show.
Welcome to Count It Off with your host, Jeff Dayton, where we explore the world of music through the eyes of some fascinating guests. So get tuned up and let's count it off.
All right, Matt, how you doing?
I'm great today. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm really glad to be here. We keep losing our old friends, don't we? And I'm grateful for those days that we still have. So, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. What an honor to have you here. You know, you are Purple royalty, I got to say.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Been a little where, seen a little some, and I think the fun thing will be just to explore that with everybody and let them get to know you. So I think one of the quickest ways to do that would be to switch over here to this folder. Here's some Matt Fink music called Ultrasound. That's the sound of Matt Fink right there, and he's our special guest today on Count It Off. Man, it's good. You know, we both have Minneapolis roots, and I'd love to hear how you got started in music. How the heck did that happen?
Oh, boy. Well, I was raised by parents who were theater and music people, and primarily, were into the theater. When I was a kid growing up, they had both gone to the University of Minnesota and had studied theater, and they had degrees and all that. And my father really loved classical music, and he kind of had an eye on my older brother and I to, learn classical piano. So he started us out when we were very young. I was about 7. My brother, I think, was 6. So I saw him doing it first, and then my parents came to me when I was around 7-ish, and they said, he was 10 by then, and they said, "You want to try this?" And I go, yeah, sure. I was a kid. What did I know? I didn't know any better.
Right.
So I started, playing the usual simplistic melodies they teach you when you're young, and Mary Had a Little Lamb and all that, beginner books. And then I moved my way on up to Mozart. By the time I was 12, I was playing some pretty heady classical music. And by the time I was about 14 is when I requested to switch teachers. I'd had a few teachers leading up to that time, but they were all more, classical-oriented teachers. And then I said, I really want to learn how to play jazz styles and improv. And this is the age of 14, I'm asking this. I was had learned that, and I was already playing in a band. My first band had started when I was about 12 years old, really. Mm-hmm. First gig, I was just almost not quite 13. We played some girl's bat mitzvah, but by the time I was 14, I was playing all the hits of the day back then as best we could. We were pretty young. I don't know how great we were. I don't have any recordings of that anymore. But
I remember. we were all pretty bad. We were all pretty bad at that age. I remember.
We were just garage band kids, trying to make our way. So then when I was 14, I started studying with this teacher, my father, and said, "Yeah, sure, I'll help you out. We'll find who's the teacher you're thinking of?" Because I had somebody in mind. So I said, I want the 2 guys over at Wigley and Associates in Minneapolis, which was Herb Wigley and Tom Weekland. And I ended up with Tom Weekland, and Herb was too booked with other people. And some of the great keyboard players out of this town studied under those guys. A lot of them that I know.
I remember my friend Gary Gratz went over there and worked with him
Yep.
for quite a while, later on after our days in the 70s. But what do you think that the improv thing did for you down the road?
Well, it helped, with, having the knowledge of scales and chords and then being able to, try and think off the cuff, as they say. And if you become fluent in those scales and chordal progressions in theory, it tends to help you write music in the future. Mm-hmm. It does help. Not everybody's like that. Not everybody learns all those things and they become great song writers, even though they don't know a lot of theory and they're completely ear trained, and then Prince was, I don't even know if he read music very well, if at all, or chord charts, because when I knew him, he did everything right from his brain, from the brain to the fingertips, as they say.
Yeah.
So he really wasn't writing his music out ever for anybody, including me or anyone in the band. I think in the early years, I requested a chord chart from him one time, and he just said, I don't do that. So in the end, because of my studies with the jazz teacher, and I did have another teacher after Tom Weekland briefly when I was about 19 at the time, and that was when I was 20 at the time. I just joined Prince's band, and I wanted to study from this other guy named he was with the Peterson family. My brain is going.
Was it Ricky?
Bad on me at the moment. No. It was one of their cousin.
Okay.
Bobby Peterson.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was one of the best jazz piano players in this town. And anyway, regardless of that, so Prince, he didn't. That helped me to write my own charts for Prince. So when I was learning his music, I wrote my own charts for rehearsal. That way I could keep track. The arrangement's easier, and I didn't have to try to memorize everything right away. I could show up at rehearsal and rely on my charts and notes until I memorized things. And some songs, came very quickly. I memorized them very quickly, and some were, more difficult.
Yeah.
Over time.
I want to jump backwards in time a little bit then, if you don't mind. Most of us from Minneapolis from the 70s, mid-70s like that, have a little Prince connection of, we have a Prince story somehow. And I was hired by Kevin Odegaard in 1976 to join his band and tour with him after he played on Blood on the Tracks with Dylan.
Yeah.
The bass player was a guy named Gary Lopak, and Gary and I have been best of friends ever since, almost 50 years now. And Gary told me about a session, this is before I knew him and before Kevin, where Owen Husney was producing a jingle, and there were a bunch of guys in the studio, and it was probably 1974, he said, and and this young kid was playing piano, who happened to be Prince, but nobody knew it then, and I think he might have been 15 or 16 at the time. And Gary was impressed with him, and the session was going nowhere, and Owen was pulling his hair out, I guess. And Gary went over to Prince, and he said, you're the only guy in here with any really good musical ideas at all. And he said, you're really good at this. I think you should probably pursue music as a career. And Gary likes to say he gave Prince his jump start to get into the music business. I don't want to tell too many of my stories, but mine was when we were rehearsing at Moon Sound. They used to be at 28th and DuPont. And if you can picture this, it was, you didn't remember because you were there. It was shag carpeting on the ground and the walls with egg carton ceilings. And it was, a funky 8-track reel-to-reel place. And I remember this kid coming in there one day. We didn't know him then. His name was Prince, and he borrowed my Gibson SG, and we used it on a track. And he had this innovative kind of way of recording. And even back then, he took the hi-hat mic, the little stick condenser that they use on hi-hats, and he put it on the unamplified strings of my guitar, and then he ran the output of the guitar, not to an amp, but straight through into the board. And so he had this super high frequency crystalline thing. And I think the song they were working on was Soft and Wet. And Chris Moon had co-written it with Prince, I found out later. And it ended up on, was the first album called For You?
Yeah, it was on there. I think Prince was around 19 at the time that was done.
Okay. Tell me about how you encountered the Purple Wind. How did that all happen for you? Because people are going to want to know, how do I meet somebody famous and make a career out of it?
Well, you know what they always say in the entertainment industry? It's who you know. You ever heard that phrase,
Yeah,
Jeff?
yeah. Down here in Nashville, we say it's "Who knows you."
And who knows you exactly?
Yeah,
That's the other one.
yeah.
So Bobby Z, the first drummer with Prince in the early years and into the Revolution years, was in my community growing up at that time. And our parents knew each other, and our folks had worked with each other on some fundraising events for the local Mount Sinai Hospital when we were kids. And I was introduced to Bobby when I was really young. I think I was about 6, because I had to go to their house with my mom while they worked out a skit that they were going to perform at this fundraiser. So, Bobby, he wasn't too keen on playing with a kid 2 years younger than him, but he took me downstairs and showed me his drum set and showed me the piano they had down in the basement. I think it was like a player piano or something, or an upright piano. So that was like one of the few rare moments of hanging out with Bobby, Rivkin, Z when I was a kid. And there was only a handful of those because, those events were few that they did, and I found a program for one of those in our basement later on when my parents sold their house. And it was my dad and his dad had been the MCs at that one event, and there was a program with their names there. And then there was, our moms did a funny skit together where they played French maids with another woman. They were dressed up like 3 French maids and probably I don't know what it entailed, but I'm imagining it was a little risque and funny. Yeah, and funny. And there's a picture of them that Bobby sent me many years ago of them that was taken from that evening.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how we knew each other initially, but we both went to different schools. We lived on the opposite side of the suburb of St. Louis Park. So we didn't really reconnect until I was in high school. So when I was in my 10th grade year, he was a senior, and we knew each other then a bit because we were running in musician circles a little bit at that time and knew each other's bands and went to hear each other play on occasion. But that was about it. We weren't really friends where I'd call him up and say, "Hey, Bob, you want to go hang out tonight and go catch something?" We weren't at that level of friendship, but we were well acquainted.
Yeah.
And then one night, it's funny. This is like late 77. He comes out to see me perform at this club, which was part of the Hopkins Bowl in Hopkins, Minnesota, which is now called Tuttle's. It's another bar. Same place. And I played there in the last couple of years again with somebody I produced. But anyway, it's funny. And Bobby shows up and with Prince's demo tape, and he says, "I want you to come out to the car and listen to this."
Oh, that sounds just like him when you say, "I want you to," kind of subdued, like it's a gangster
and
kind of voice.
Oh, nice to see it. It's like I hadn't heard from Bobby in a while, like, wow, he just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, I'll go out and listen to it. So I go out to his car. I'm listening to this demo tape, and I'm extremely impressed. And I go, wow, this is amazing. Who's the band? And he goes, "It's not a band." I go, "What do you mean it's not a band?" He goes, "It's one guy in the studio writing and performing and everything on this with my brother David engineering, though, and co-producing." I go, "Wow, that's really good. I mean, who is he?" He goes, "Well, his name is this," singing Prince. And I go, "Prince? Whoa." Okay. What is that his stage name? No, that's his real name.
Wow.
I go, "Okay." And how old is he? He goes, "He's your age. You guys are contemporaries." I go, "You're kidding me." I go, this is unheard of. I said to him, "There's nobody like that is this like fluent on every instrument and writing and producing their own stuff at the age of 19, barely."
Right. That's amazing.
I don't know if Prince was 18 or 19. Yeah. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I actually, not to interrupt, but I had a story similar to that in that when we were together with Kevin Odegaard, we had this young kid named Bobby Rivkin playing drums with us. And I'm told that was Bobby's first band ever. And David, who you mentioned, who became David Z, was our producer.
Yeah.
Because he had recorded Kevin's album at ASI that was called
Silver Lining?
Silver Lining. That was it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so we spent a year playing with Kevin, and then when that wrapped up, we tried to do smooth jazz, and we died an ugly death in the dance clubs. And so I ended up getting a gig on the St. Croix playing country 5 nights a week, and I hauled Gary Lopak out there. And I said, "Bobby, what are you going to do?" And he said, "Well, you know that Prince kid that borrows your guitar in the studio?" He said, "I've been jamming with him at Owen's basement, and I really like what he's doing, and I'm going to hang with him and see where it goes."
Yeah, so Bobby knew of me, of course, because he'd seen me perform and with cover bands I was playing at the time. And I'd been writing a little bit at that time with somebody, but nothing significant.
Speaking of your writing, let's drop one in here right now, okay?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I like to have lots of music on the show. So if you can allow us to, this is some Matt Fink music called Cherry Pie Surprise.
Bake that, honey. Sugar coated, baby. My baby just won't give it up. I want it all. She got it. My baby just won't give it up. I want it all. She got it. She bakes so good, player. Open your eyes and taste more sweet cherry pie surprise.
That's amazing, man. I love it. Make me dance sitting down, man.
Thank you. That's the artist's name is David Jordan. He's lives in London. We did that back in 2010. Yeah, I did a whole bunch of stuff with him.
Cool.
He was signed to Universal at one time, and at that time he was not signed at the moment. And that was just some of the stuff we did that actually is going to be re-released probably next year. We just spoke about this material recently, and he wants to re-release it. So
yeah,
and it's actually going to get remixed too. But go ahead.
Well, I was going to say funk is forever. I mean, in my opinion, we had a good funky town too, and we had a place called Magoo's in the New City Opera House down there on Nicollet, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And there were dance clubs, and there was the Purple People Eaters, and there was all sorts of people that were really kind of taking the slide and the stone, and the early funk people, our James Brown and all the guys, and they were doing it proud and loud. So once you got with Prince, you went and hung out with him a little bit, or how did Bobby bring you into the fold?
Well, I just said at the time that I was, Bobby played the demo tape for me. I said, well, let me know what happens with him. Because he didn't have a record deal yet. He said this is going to be shopped to all the labels, and hopefully he'll get signed. And I go, yeah, I bet he's a shoe-in, I said. And just let me know when he wants to put a band together, because I'd love to meet him and be interested in auditioning for the group someday. Mm-hmm. And he said, okay. So fast forward, this is like late 77, fast forward to like kind of late summer, early fall of 78. The first album was out already. And he'd sort of had a nucleus of a band put together, and they were still auditioning for that last keyboard spot in the band. And I called Bobby again and Owen. I had Owen's info, and I pestered them for like, I don't know, it had to be 2-3 weeks. I said, well, Matt, Prince has his eye on this one keyboard player right now, and he's checking him out. He's jamming with him for a minute, so we don't know yet if he's getting hired. And I go, oh, shoot,
Mm-hmm.
So I had to just sit back and wait. And then like about 3 weeks later or so, the door opened up again. Prince wanted to keep looking. So I had my opportunity to audition in October of 78. And the rest is history. We met, and for the first time at my audition, and first thing he did was ask me if I had learned the song So Blue on the first album. And I said, no, I didn't learn that one yet. I didn't know I was supposed to. I thought I was supposed to work on Soft and Wet and a couple other ones for the audition. And he goes, it's okay. Don't worry about it. There's no keyboards on it anyway. Ha, 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 ha.
That's great.
Yeah. That's Prince for you. That's Prince. He'll tease you and test your mettle just by, messing with you for a second,
Beautiful.
So it was really great. But that was that, and the audition went really well. And within another 3 weeks, word came back to me that he wanted to try me out in the group.
Oh.
So that was how it worked.
Give us the lineup. It was Bobby and you, and who else was in that first lineup?
Des Dickerson, Andre Anderson / Simone, stage name Simone, who was Prince's best friend, grew up with him. Prince and Andre on bass, as we all know. Mm-hmm. He's very well known. And Bobby and Gail Chapman on the other keyboard spot there on vocals and keyboards. Gail Chapman.
Wow. And I think Des lives here in Nashville, if I'm not mistaken.
Des has been in Nashville for quite a while. Yeah, he moved there later after he left Prince.
Yeah. Okay.
much later. Yeah.
What did that band get to do? Were you guys rehearsing for shows, or were you doing clubs? Or I can't imagine what it had to be like.
Well, the first group, within 2 months of me joining, not even 2 months, it was not even that, maybe a month and a half tops, we rehearsed for our first showcase gig in Minneapolis for the head people at Warner Brothers, the president and the head of A&R and a couple other execs. They flew in from LA to watch us perform at this place called the Capri Theater in North Minneapolis. And it didn't go so well. It was okay, but it's like, what do you expect from a bunch of guys who just got together for a month and a half and they're rehearsing their asses off for Prince's first album material, and we're all just going, "Holy crap!" Are we going to be ready for this? Apparently Prince wasn't the most patient person in the world. He wanted to really get this done as soon as possible without really breaking the band in enough, in my opinion. But we did it, and there were some technical screw-ups on the first show. We played 2 nights in a row, and they were there for both of them. But I won't get into detail on that. But in the meantime, they said, "Hey, guys, it's a good start. Meantime, Prince, you need to record your next album, and your band, well, you guys need to keep rehearsing."
Oh, brother, ice cold.
So we did, and we just went back to work, and Prince wasn't firing anybody or saying, "Oh, they didn't say fire the band. They just said, you guys need to get tighter, and you need to sound like the record in a better way. You weren't quite there yet." And, all these criticisms came in, and that was that. So we kept working hard. And Prince he's one of the hardest working guys in the business.
Did he work you guys
seen.
as hard as I've heard that same thing? Did he work you guys relentlessly?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. He was a hard worker, but I didn't mind the work because it's fun. Music is fun to me. I don't care. I'm there for the fun and the ride of what he was doing. I was totally just there to support him because I believed in him as an artist, in his talent. He was just extremely gifted, beyond a lot of people I had worked with at that time. So I thought, okay, he has a record deal with Warner's. This is a great opportunity for all of us to support this guy and hopefully write with him. That was one of my goals too. But I thought, well, it's his record deal. He's the guy. Gosh, he's just doing it all himself. I'm just here to be the guy to go play it live. And along the way, just fun to be a part of something like this. Coming from the Midwest, from Minneapolis, you're not out in LA or New York or Nashville at this time. We were just kids. And we're going, oh, wow, this is like the only game in town with a record label like this. There weren't a lot of bands out of Minneapolis getting signed really at that time. Some came in the 80s, obviously. You had the Replacements and Husker Du, and there was a lot of great talent that came out from Minneapolis at that time. But Prince was that was a major signing to a big label, a guy like him coming from Minneapolis.
And Owen got that done, right? Owen Husney.
Yeah. Owen and his team did, yes.
Yeah, and they got was it a 3-record deal that they got out of that?
To start with, and not only that, but they managed to wrest complete control for Prince to do what he wanted on the albums and produce himself, although that came with one slight restriction on the first album, and that was that he had to have an actual producer kind of hanging out, overseeing it.
That wouldn't have been David, would it? Or was that past?
No. It was somebody else. I can't remember his name, but the guy that they brought in was a well-known Warner's producer.
All right. Well, let's keep the music going. This is called When Love is a Game.
This one was placed in a movie last year. This one made it into a movie.
Oh, good for you. That sync money.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yep.
In the light of a faded dream, love could never be the same for me. Oh, what went wrong? Only lovers never Is love or an illusion? When love is a game, didn't wanna be in love like that. People play, never wanna play the game like that. Till they're so, didn't wanna be so sad and lonely. Never knowing how to say the way they never gonna play the game like that. There's a wall that's
Congrats on that placement, man. I love that shift to the key change. That's great.
Thank you. That one was written back in the early 90s, like
Wow.
91 or 2 or something like that. Yeah.
Wow. And then
And
songs
then-
have that
yeah.
long a shelf life, don't they?
Well, yeah, that song was sitting around, and a company that I know of liked it enough to resurrect it and find a spot somewhere for it. It's what happens sometimes, especially vintage, the more vintage sounding stuff like that. That's not,
Yeah.
kind of from that late 80s, early 90s era ballad, pop ballady stuff,
Yeah, it's got that big fat low end on it too. The bass part is just, power synth kind of thing. Wait,
Actually, that one's actually a fretless bass on that one.
no kidding.
A real fretless, yeah.
Wow. Who was the soprano sax on that?
Penny Holman.
Is he Twin Cities guy?
Yes.
Okay. That's great. He sounded good. It reminded me that when you hear a soprano sax, a lot of us our age will always think of Kenny G. And now, sadly, last week, whenever we hear a flugelhorn, we will always think of Chuck Mangione. And,
I was so sorry to hear of him passing.
But boy, talk about one song doing the trick for those guys. For what a career they both had, or having. Yeah. Well,
So have you ever heard? I'm sorry. Have you ever heard of the Hornheads here in Minneapolis? That
No.
group of horn players. Okay, I just wondered because they worked with Prince for a while. Kenny Holman was part of those guys.
Gosh, well,
Still is.
Yeah, I can tell he's a really precise top shelf horn player. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. So we did that first gig, and then we had to go back to the drawing board. And then by, I think it was late summer, early fall, maybe, we started doing a what's called a showcase club tour to feature the second album and first album material. So we were doing all that, and then Prince had a really bad case of laryngitis late in the tour, and we had to cancel the last 3 or 4 dates on the East Coast because of that. They just decided to pull the plug and not reschedule. Within maybe another month or two, with a little break there, management found a spot for us to open for Rick James on his tour.
Wow.
Starting in early 1980 in January.
How did that go?
So we went out on it was interesting. I mean, it was a blast because, here we are, these bunch of green kids from Minneapolis getting to open up in, 12 to 15,000 seat arenas for a headliner like Rick James. And so that was exciting. And it was also fraught with, certain things that happen on tour and various things.
Give us an example. Come on, give us a story. We all want to know.
Well, Rick James, he was always trying to get Prince high on something. And Prince was so anti-drug. And Prince would always have to say, no, thanks, Rick. No, thanks. No, he was always trying to get him to have a drink or smoke a joint or do some cocaine or do something, And Prince would tell me about this. And I said, yeah, don't worry about it, Prince. Just ignore it. Let it go. Yeah. I know you don't like doing that stuff. And so I just, but then kind of this weird rivalry kind of developed on the road because we were really evoking quite a response as a warm-up act from the audience. And Rick was like, well, wait a minute. I support this, but boy, this kid's really tearing it up,
Oh, sure.
So I don't know if he felt threatened by it or what, but, in the end, by the end of the tour, Rick James thought it'd be a good idea to take our synthesizers and act like they went missing and we couldn't figure out what happened to them. We thought they got stolen. by somebody. We didn't suspect Rick James and his people. And then like after he used them for several months in the studio and stole our sounds, he gave them back to Prince and no charges were pressed.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's crazy. I never would have known that. Yeah. I know Bobby and Prince and everybody came through. You guys came through Phoenix, and I was still in touch with him from the days in the KO band. And I went down to the DoubleTree. They were staying downtown, and I was talking to Bobby, and I asked him about a certain drug, and he says, "Dude, if he even thinks I'm doing drugs, I'm out of the band." So yeah,
that's how what a stickler he was for that. No drug use and no cigarettes, even no drinking. One time I had like a mixed drink after a show one time early on, and he came over to me and kind of tapped on it funny and looked at it like hey, what are you doing?
What was the show like back then? Was he dancing up a storm and doing all that stuff and doing the James Brown moves?
Oh yeah, he was a cross between James Brown and Mick Jagger in those early days. He really loved Mick Jagger, kind of emulated some of those moves. And then Mick, of course, saw that and went, "Oh, this kid, he likes my influence, and I like what he's doing." And next thing you know, the third album is being released. Just did come out, the Dirty Mind album, and then Mick Jagger asks Prince to open for them, at some shows.
Wow.
And so that was like a huge break for Prince and the band. It's like, whoa, really?
Kidding.
And the first show was at the LA Coliseum, 90,000 capacity stadium.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, and this is only early '81 or so, I think, somewhere in there. I'd been in the band all of 2.5 years, maybe, and then Mark Brown, our bass player, who had been just recently hired, had never played a live gig with us yet because Andre Simone had decided he was going to leave the group over whatever issues he was having. I think he wanted to be a solo artist, just like Prince. They grew up. Andre, a very talented guy in his own way. Anyway, he left the group, and Mark Brown comes in. He's 19 at the time.
I love this.
Has to play with the band in front of 90,000 people. And he said, I don't even barely know who the Rolling Stones are. He said, I've heard of them, but I don't listen to their music.
Oh. I
go, well, what do you listen to? And he goes, James Brown and people on Motown. And, he just went into all the R&B pop stuff primarily. And I went, okay, cool. All right, well, this will be interesting for you. So little did we know or suspect in a million years that once we took the stage, and of course, we're the first band out of 4, right, to play. They put us in because we were unknown, so you guys get the first slot when the sun is still up, And so we hit the stage, and for whatever reason, there was a huge backlash against us by this audience, and they just thought it would be fun to throw shit at us and boo and flip us the bird, and they were looking at Prince going, what the hell is this guy wearing, like thigh-high stockings, high-heel boots, bikini briefs, a bandana, and a black trench coat with studs on it. And he comes out here, and his 2 side guys up front are the same, and they're black. And then you got 3 white people in the back, and they're playing rock, and they're doing this song called Sister, and he's singing lyrics about incest. So this shit totally, I don't care. What's interesting is I'm thinking to myself, okay, so the people who like the Rolling Stones, their audience is not as much like a Beatles audience. They're more like a Hells Angels audience, because Hells Angels were their bodyguards for many years and were doing security that day as well. Instead of real security people, they had Hells Angels people up front guarding the stage.
Wow.
And then the audience is kind of a more biker, gruff, more, to me, audience maybe that I don't like to say that they're racist. I don't think, hopefully a lot of them aren't, or many of them, or none of them are. But the thing is they're a tougher crowd. When they see that, it was, in my opinion, there had to be some racist stuff going on, or maybe the lyric, because you can't tell with the lyrics. They didn't know Prince, and even the song "Sister," if they could even understand the lyrics, it may have offended them. But I mean, this was a lot of people throwing stuff and being, hating on us.
Wow. Wasn't Mary Clayton already on Gimme Shelter at that point? Was that already?
Yeah. So it shouldn't be a racist thing. That to me, I mean, the Rolling Stones audience is very much a 60s, hopefully peace-loving audience in the Woodstock era, as the Beatles or anybody else were at that time. So that's why I was miffed by it. I thought, I thought their audience would be more peace-loving, hippie attitude, even though this is 1981, and it's way more far removed from that era. I would have thought that there wouldn't be violence towards us. Nor have I ever seen that happen to anybody on stage of that caliber. So what happened is Prince left the stage after 4 songs, and we left, and he went home and said, "I'm not going to do any more of these. That was dangerous." I saw him almost get hit in the head by a whiskey bottle. So he went home. Mick Jagger begged him to come back, and he did, to do the second show the day after the next from when we were there. So like the first show was a Friday, the next one was a Sunday. Prince had already flown back to Minneapolis after the show. He said, "I'm done."
Yeah.
And we were still left in LA, and Mick got on the phone with everybody and said, you got to let me talk to Prince, We said, fine. So anyway, it was unfortunate, and there were only supposed to be about another 4 shows in stadiums with them, right? Us opening in different cities. Once Prince came back and we did the second show, the same thing happened all over again. So then after that, Prince said, "No, that's it. It's too dangerous. I don't want to put anybody in danger of getting injured, including myself." So that's it. If this is going to happen going forward, then forget it. I don't even want to try it again.
Yeah.
So that was it. We decided not to do those opening dates with the Stones at that time.
Let's jump ahead a little bit to 1999 and that period. Can you tell us, moving forward in time a little bit, what it was like doing the 1999 tour?
At that point, he was able to sell out arenas. So yeah, then when you get to that point, it's like a steamroller. You're out there on tour and you're just doing your thing.
What did you like most about that time? What did you love about that?
Well, just that when you're that young and free and you're not tied down to anything, you can just be on the road and not worry about anything back home. It just makes it exciting and fun, and you get to entertain people. And if you're in the music business, that's what your goal is, to be out there doing that. Because it's you enjoy it,
Was he growing as an artist in front of your eyes? Did you see him changing?
All the time, sure.
Evolving his style, maybe?
All the time.
Wow. Yeah. That's something else. Prince, I think, absolutely set the bar for everybody in town. And how did you see Minneapolis Sound happening thanks to him?
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. He was a hub of that at that time, no question. I was happy to be a part of it, a part of the influence, and around it, and also, like I said, contributing to it. So, yeah, all I can say is he was the spearhead and hub of that whole movement back then.
Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis.
I was about to mention them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you have much interaction with them, or
just on tour, because they were out there with the time, with us.
Morris Day and the Time. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. When we were out on the road, the Time was out there with us on, the 1999 tour, which was called the Hit and Run tour, and it had Vanity 6, and then the Time, and then us performing.
Wow.
And then the Controversy tour, we had Roger and Zapp and the Time, our group. But we weren't really the Revolution yet. We didn't really call us Prince and the Revolution until the Purple Rain album.
All right. Well, let's go there. Tell us about how that all happened and how it evolved in front as far as your view.
Well, the 1999 album and tour were very successful for him and us. And at that time, he was a double platinum selling artist. That's over 2 million sold. And that was a double album. And the tour did really well. Sold out most of the shows. Not everything, but pretty much everything. And so he had it in his mind already at that time that he wanted to do a movie. But I didn't have an inkling of this until the end of the tour, when he sat me down and asked me about my opinion about possibly trying to do a movie. And I just said, well, do you think you're ready for that? Do you think that our following is big enough to warrant making a movie? He goes, maybe, maybe not. He's quite the risk taker. He is quite the risk taker. So I said, look, if you think that this is an idea you want to pursue, I'll support it. I mean, it's obviously your career. I'm just your side man. You know, I'm your support team. If you make this decision, I'll support it. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a really cool idea. That my question to you is it too soon in your career to do this? And what is your level of acting experience? You know, I asked all these questions sitting with him. And all he could say was, well, I'm confident that I could do this right now.
I think
and
it's cool that he asked you. I think it's cool that he consulted you. That's really awesome.
He did. He consulted me. We were friends by then, you know, obviously. We were actually fast friends, especially early on. So in the meantime, he got my opinion, and then obviously he pursued it, and it came to fruition. It wasn't easy by any means because the record label was extremely skeptical of this and didn't really want to fund it at all. So Prince's management said, well, how about if we kick in X amount and you guys kick in X amount and we try to do this and make it happen and take the risk. And then somehow they came to terms with Warner Brothers and they made it work. Next thing you know, they've got their budget and we're underway by the summer of 1983.
Wow.
So
how long did it take to make the movie?
I think filming started in around October of 83, and then it went all the way till late December. They might even see, I don't know the exact schedule, but I know it was fall for sure. Could have been late September, early October. I just know that it got chilly by the time they were trying to do that shot with Apollonia in the Lake Minnetonka scene where Prince makes her jump into the Lake Minnetonka, which really wasn't Lake Minnetonka in real life.
Yeah.
So it was colder than it was really chilly that day, and why they did that was beyond me. Yeah, so that's how it came to fruition, and the whole summer of '83 was spent training for the film, just so I could mime the music and have one line in the whole movie.
I remember Bobby's line where you guys were kind of going through turmoil, and he says, "We're still a group, aren't we?"
Right. Still a group, right?
Yeah.
That's how he says it.
Yeah.
And I say, and I do the only funny big laugh line in the film about Wendy's period getting reversed. So, you know, the thing is that, they gave me an iconic kind of line, but then they didn't develop anybody's characters in the band very much other than Wendy and Lisa a little bit, you know, like they get the most dialogue, and then they're at odds with Prince because he won't, you know, listen to their music they're trying to write and bring to the table.
Was that real world that he was like that?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Where he would capitulate and go, oh, he capitulated and went, okay, I'm going to do Purple Rain and write Purple Rain around your song. But here, I mean, for me, my experience with him was if he ever used something that he gave me writing credit on, it was never lyric or melody. It was always a chord progression or lead line or something else that I was doing at a jam session, just improvising. And then he would grab the idea and then build something around that. But he would always give me a writing credit if he did that. He'd give me a little piece of the writing. Yeah.
And that had to be a huge help for you financially because that's when records were selling.
Yeah, it was. It was very good at the time. Mm-hmm. Of course, you know, it's fast forward, it's 2025. The royalties still trickle in.
Amen.
And,
amen.
Yeah, amen. And you know, that's just how the business is. But it's changed, as we all know. It's changed so much with streaming.
It sure has. And here we are podcasting, and we didn't even have computers back then. I remember on the radio they said, we're going to have this thing called CD-RAM, random access memory and all that shit.
Memory, yeah.
Remember all that? The worldwide internet, you know, boy.
Yes, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, we're visiting with Matt Fink, and can I play this Last First Kiss from Michelle Berg. Is that all right?
Sure.
That's something you helped out?
Oh, yeah, sure.
You co-wrote this or wrote it?
Yep. I wrote this. This song is all written by myself and my wife co-writing lyrics on this.
Okay, here we go. All right. Late at night. Nice, man.
Every time I see your loving eyes, they never wanna say goodbye. They're telling me you wanna love and hold me tight, anticipating all your moves makes me feel so right. I want this to be the last first kiss with you. I want this to be your last first kiss with me. I want this to be the last first kiss with you, love. I can't miss with the way you kiss me.
Boy, that's a get late at night, get close to somebody song. I love that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. What would you say was one of your favorite things about Prince's creativity? Because you saw him from right inside the shell, you know?
The fact that he had such an amazing stream of consciousness when he would be in the studio laying down his layered parts, because if he wasn't using the band or any other band members to do session work on things, which was in the early years 90% of the time, he would just be sitting there and literally playing a lot of parts on the first take. He'd have it in his head, and then he would just play it
Wow.
on the first try, like a guitar part, and then the keyboard part, and then the bass, drums. You know, sometimes he'd have to do a few takes, but not a lot.
Mm.
It's like he already had, like, in his mind, it's almost like he had the layers of the parts going on in his head in advance, maybe like a 3-dimensional map of the song. I'm thinking,
Mhm.
or perhaps he had, well, I got this groove in this bass part. Okay, now I'm going to hear this while I'm playing along with the guitar, and and then he may jam against it a little bit and then find what he wants. But yeah, I regularly witnessed that kind of flow,
Yeah.
which was just blow away to me. I mean, it's a genius thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a savant. He's like a savant, really. I think he was on the spectrum. I think if he had been diagnosed, he would have been a savant. If somebody had said to, put him in front of scientists and said, "What are you?"
Well, in all the years that followed, too, I mean, I just stumbled across a rehearsal for Special Olympics with the NPG. It was in the Dome in Minneapolis, and, it was our friends Michael Bland and Tommy Barbarella, and rehearsing, and then back at the studio, rehearsing, and seeing his creativity just like, it was amazing. And that was then. And then, all the other videos that people have put out there of him playing with all the rock and roll greats on My Guitar Gently Weeps, taking Donnie Harris, just blowing his mind with the guitar solo on there, and they're grinning at each other. And he had that joy, didn't he?
He did, but what's interesting about that solo is it was probably barely rehearsed. He was flowing, like I just described to you. He was playing that stream of consciousness, Jeff.
Yeah.
That improvisational stream of consciousness thing, flow, that he had. Yeah, I mean, it really is ethereal and otherworldly to me.
Man. In my world with Glenn Campbell, I was with for 15 years, I saw that with him, where he could just pick up a guitar and something would happen and you'd be going, Lordy. Or he'd sing a song that he sang every night, like by the time I get to Phoenix, it didn't matter what it was. And he would take a little melodic twist to it. He would phrase it a little differently. And I'm still remembering that. I still get chills thinking about him and how good he was at keeping it fresh like that. Did you guys find
Yeah,
that?
there's a lot of
Was Prince like
Yeah,
that,
with
where
Prince.
he kept it fresh, really fresh all the
yeah,
time?
yeah, exactly. And he did it because he'd get bored playing it the same over and over again. So he was always trying to keep it fresh. And yeah, no, I'm not saying that Prince was the only artist that had that kind of talent. Obviously, a lot of the greats do,
Mhm.
and I've seen it in them too.
Mhm.
People like Glenn and Stevie Wonder and Beatles, just name any of the greats out there. They all had that talent because they immersed themselves so fully in what they were doing.
Mm.
And Jeff, you're like that. I've heard you play. I know you're a badass.
Well, when sometimes they'll yell at, I was backing up Vince Gill in Scottsdale one time, and he just turned to me and said,
Yeah.
"Take it." And I thought he said fake it, because that's what I was doing.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Hey, how did the
Yeah.
Dr. Fink character come together?
Oh, that was just kind of a sheer happenstance, because when we were on the road with Rick James, we were about 3 shows into that tour, and we were in Chicago. Because I remember this really well when this happened. Prince came to me and he says, hey, you're going to have to change your stage look. I go, what? I go, why? He goes, because Rick James is wearing your stage outfit on one of his songs. I go, yeah, I did kind of notice that, but I didn't think it would be a big deal. I go, what? He goes, yeah, I go, is Rick complaining? He goes, no, he's the headliner. I don't want that redundant thing happening between your look and his look on that one song. And that look happened to be a black and white striped jail suit, in convict suit, right?
Okay.
And I wore that on American Bandstand on our debut performance ever on television with Dick Clark and that whole thing. So Prince said, I've made my mind up. You're going to have to change your look. Did you have any other ideas when you were formulating your stage vibe? and I go, well, I love the black and white stripe because it's harkens back to the old rock and roll days with Elvis, and it matches the keyboards with the black and white vibe with the keys. And Prince goes, yeah, I know. It's really nice. But what was your other choices? So I said, well, one of them was a guy dressed like a surgeon, but I thought it was too bland, for stage look. I thought, I've never seen anybody do it before, really, that I knew of. But since this was kind of the new wave rock era, I thought that might be an interesting new wave vibe, kind of like what the black and white striped jail suit was. And he goes, that's kind of interesting, the doctor look. Why don't we try that tonight? I go, what, really? He goes, yeah. So he sent our one of our crew members out to a costume shop, and they came up with the scrub suit, and they went to a medical supply, and they got all the doctor accessories. They brought him back for the show, and I became the doctor that evening, and then the rest is history, and that was it.
What was your other choice?
Yeah.
That's great. Let's go back to Minneapolis just for a little bit. Minneapolis is still so strong musically, and there's so much great music, of all genres coming out of there. You must feel a great deal of pride to have contributed to that and to be continuing to contribute to that. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll let you go
Definitely.
along on that if you want.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of mentoring over the last several years, and I work for a couple of nonprofits. I'm on the board of directors of a fairly new one here in Minneapolis called Unlocked Mission, and that they're dedicated to educating underserved communities. Music education for underserved communities.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the cool things they have is a full-on recording studio and performance space on a 70-foot houseboat parked on the Mississippi River.
Wow.
Which travels up and down the river and does special performances and things in river communities along the river down into southern Minnesota. And that's really been a lot of fun. I've performed on the boat and several times and done a couple teaching programs with them. And they have a website, if anyone's interested, is unlockedmission.org is the name of that nonprofit. And then the other one, which started back in 2013, is called Future Youth Records, which is based out of California in the San Francisco Bay Area, and that's still going strong. And back in 2019, after working with them for quite a while, I brought my oldest son, Max, in on it too, because he's grown to be a music producer himself and songwriter. And he's getting ready to put out a solo album here very shortly.
Man, isn't that great? I love passing it on to the next generation. I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about that. And he's actually going to be out in LA soon as well, working on another Future Youth Records project. I'll probably be doing a few things on it as well, but I don't have to travel out there for that. He has to be out there for this one because I'm also swamped with my new job too. There's just a lot of stuff going on, and I'm keeping busy and working with some new musicians as well right now.
That's awesome.
In the studio.
And commendable. And when I ran into you a couple weeks ago and we were talking about all the people that you were with were involved in helping others.
Yes.
So that's
correct.
Great people to hang with. And well, Matt, thank you so much, Dr. Fink. And we will always remember you as that. Grateful that you had time for us today because I know you are kind of a big deal. Well, man, what a guest to talk to you, and thanks for making time with us. And Count It Off is growing, and we're just adding people more all the time. And I'm looking forward to having this show. This will be out next week, so you'll be able to catch it on Tuesday morning, early in the morning. And Matt, thanks again, brother. It's great to have our Minnesota connection, our Minneapolis music connection going so strong. And to you and all the guys around the Purple One, thank you for blessing our lives with some unforgettable music.
Hey, you're welcome. It's been my pleasure. Thanks.
All right. You know the deal here with Count It Off. All you got to do is say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Hey, baby.
Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed this show. We invite you to check out all the other episodes and share this channel with all of your friends. Until next time, peace.